Welcome back inside the cave on this Tuesday morning. Tom Crawford wanted to sleep in a little bit this morning. Usually out at 7:25, but it's 8:25. And Tom, you all rested up now?
Yeah, well, I didn't, in full disclosure, I had a little medical thing, blood test this morning I had to have done. So, no, I moved it to 8:25. Get a different hit of your audience, of your illustrious.
And welcome back inside the cave on this Tuesday morning. Tom Crawford wanted to sleep in a little bit this morning. Usually out at 7:25, but it's 8:25. And Tom, you all rested up now?
Yeah, well, I didn't, in full disclosure, I had a little medical thing, blood test this morning I had to have done. So, no, I moved it to 8:25. Get a different hit of your audience, of your illustrious audience, and so we'll do that this week.
There we go. We got something brand new here on the cave, Tom.
I thought you were out for a jog, Tom.
Oh, no, I'm not jogging yet, but I'll get there one of these days.
Something new here on the cave. We have a new text line, and we would like folks, if they have a question for Tom, to text us at 517-662-8225. So maybe we'll get a question for you at the end of the show.
You guys are really going top.
We are stepping up. Yeah. Well, in the news this week, Tony Petitti sent a letter to the NCAA saying that maybe Michigan should be done with this whole thing. And what's your take on all of this?
Well, quite frankly, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe the NCAA will say, hey, Mr. Commissioner, you're not telling us what to do. I don't know. I've learned a long time ago, and I think I've shared with you guys. It's like this whole saga is like a sports writer trying to cover a nine-inning baseball game, and he's following a story every half inning. I mean, it's just what's the new flavor news peg of the day, and everybody jumping to conclusion. And those interpretations are always based upon the platform of that media. Like, Bucknuts, Ohio State fans, Michigan State fans, they'll throw out the death penalties, looming, all this stuff, because that's what they want. And so I ignore it. It'll be interesting today on Big Ten Media Days if that's brought up. If as Commissioner, he has his little address at the start of Big Ten Media Days. What will be the Q&A after that should be interesting. But I'm just waiting and seeing, and I'm not drawing any conclusions, and I'm just focused on the depth chart and football camp opens a week from tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, for Michigan, and looking forward to hearing the reviews of how practice is going.
We'll talk about the Big Ten Media Day here in just a minute here, but you sent me a little video last night of three players on the Michigan football team that was not very complimentary of their brothers to the north.
Yeah, they called it, Little Brother U or whatever. I mean, the Little Brother Stadium sports team. No, this is. I've never been a big fan. Of players, talking trash before a game. Let the talking happen on the field. Rayshon Benny and I believe it was Trey Williams, will probably be the starting nose tackle. I mean, and Rayshon Benny will be at the end, and then Derek Moore, who's been around forever. Those are three leaders on that starting defense. And I know Tony Garcia, our media friend, read that video, and they're talking, talking trash against Michigan State. Now, that's the ultimate bulletin board material, as I think you shared with me, and I agree with that. But in reality, once the game starts, it's all about X's and O's and G's and Jo's, and who's gonna be good that day. But I'm not a big fan of it. The ironic part, though, guys, is I think that was taken down. I think.
Yes, I tried to go back on today to bring it up, and it was gone.
Yeah. So how did that happen? I mean, what happened to cause that? That's interesting. What prompted Tony to take that down?
Yeah, that's crazy. But anyway, some more billboard material for Michigan State. But anyway, the Big Ten Media Days, 3 big days of it this year. They're out in Las Vegas, and it gets it's going to be kicking off at 2:00 today Eastern Time. Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner, addressing the media. And then 3 big days of all 18 coaches speaking about their teams, and of course, it's always a time where you're really very positive and talking up your team. So Michigan will be on day number 3. They'll be actually the last team to get the microphone. Any comments about what's going to happen over the next 3 days, Tom?
Well, I think, generally speaking, over the 3 days, you're going to hear a lot of, questions from the media to the Tony Petittis and and other coaches, their reaction, hey, wow, what do you think of the commissioner, saying Michigan, has already been penalized enough and blah, blah, blah. So that's constant reaction, especially the Ohio State media, and you know what that's all about. You've seen them there in droves. And so they'll be in the attack mode. So that will be a big issue. I think NIL monies, all the cliche type questions, what's going on in college football will be addressed, and how people are handling that. And then then you're going to get the sugar and spice, everything nice. Yeah, we're excited about this year, but I mean, you could write the script for every one of these coaches, and they're all pretty much the same. And I understand that you have to be that way. And then the 3 players that you bring are your polished stones. I mean, those are your most, those are your leaders typically, oftentimes the eventual captains, and also they're your best showcase of what your program's all about. So. Max Bredesen is back for a second straight year as a grad player this year. He did a really good job last year. But I think about 109 degrees out there, and these guys putting on suits. I hope they stay indoors the whole time. If they go outside, they can be sweating their butts off.
Yeah, these questions and answers remind me of Bull Durham, where they're. Kevin Costner's teaching him all the lines and how he's supposed to answer the questions and stuff, because there's so many just canned. They don't. Nobody wants to give anything away. Everything's hunky dory. Just rainbows and butterflies, and we're good to go for this season.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that this will be the first Big Ten Media Days I've missed since 2010. So I had like a streak of 15 in a row between Chicago and Indy. And I wasn't even about to consider flying to Vegas. But hopefully we'll get back to the Midwest next year. But, especially when Jim Harbaugh was there. So, you have all these, it's like the Super Bowl format. You have all these, booths, if you will. Every scrums around, the media scrum around. And a half hour before Harbaugh would go on, the media would be setting up their tripods. They'd be 5, 6, 7 deep around an empty chair. They're waiting for Harbaugh, and actually, the Sharon Moore is a little bit of the same. And then you have coaches next door, P.J. Flood going, talking in front of 10 people. I mean, because Michigan is just such an X on their back of trying to get media takes. And the guys who were sitting up front were Ohio State media. They were more focused on Harbaugh than as much as Ryan Day. So that's just the way they're wired. And, it'll probably be more the same on Thursday. Yeah, Michigan State both going on Thursday.
Well, the media poll is out, preseason media poll, and kind of surprising to me, at the number 1 spot is Penn State.
I'm surprised you're surprised, Pat. I mean, they're good. They got a lot of players back, and I think and they've had a decent run last year. And, with Penn State, with me, it's like I say to myself, one of these years, James Franklin is going to cobble his way and get it done. He's going to trip his way into a national championship. A lot of people are real critical of his big game coaching, prowess or lack thereof, and his record will back that up. But I think there's a little bit of that. I was surprised. I think Illinois, I don't have it in front of me, but they're picked ahead of Michigan, right?
That's right. We've got Penn State, Ohio State,
Yeah.
Oregon, Illinois, and Michigan, the top 5.
Yeah, so Illinois won their bowl game last year. They beat an SEC team. And Illinois, I don't see Illinois winning a national championship, in my lifetime. I just don't. I mean, they don't have it in them. They are not a threat. It's the Big Four: Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. All right, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon. The Big Five and Michigan.
Yes.
Well, I think going back to Penn
No,
State.
is that 4 or 5? Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon. Yeah. So the Big Four. I
Yeah,
didn't count
four.
right. The Big Four. There's 4. There's 4 legitimate, and this is a big difference, guys, between the Big Ten and the SEC. SEC Media Days was last week, right? The depth of that conference is the difference maker between the Big Ten and the SEC. The top four of the the SEC, top 4 of the Big Ten, pretty comparable. Look, the Big Ten was 2-0 in bowl games last year, 4-1, I believe, on the season against the SEC. That's not the issue. It's the depth or lack thereof. And it's the Purdue's and the Rutgers and the Marylands and Michigan States, all you other weaklings that are holding down the Big Ten when you're contrasting the SEC to the Big Ten. And that's where the SEC has the upper hand.
Well, so it's the Big Four and a little 14.
Big Four. Yeah, I can't.
But looking at this, I think with Penn State being ranked number 1, I think the big thing about that is I think they have less question marks returning than some of the others. With Michigan and Ohio State trying to have to both replace a few people there that are big key parts. I think Penn State is a little less of having to replace some of their key parts.
Yeah, and the question mark, and Ohio State has a lot. They lost a lot of linemen. The offensive line. Our 2 schools in the state of Michigan, their success, in my opinion, clearly based on the maturation of their offensive line, with their because of their quarterback situation. If Bryce Underwood has an offensive line that can protect him in pass pro and also run block to develop a running game, good Lord, look out. This cat is good. Aiden Childs at Michigan State was running for his life last year. If they ever got an offensive line together, and maybe they might this year, who knows, they could be an improved team dramatically. It's the O-line that dictates how good these teams are. And for Michigan, if you look at the past 3 or 4 seasons, it's taken, even in the national championship year, it took half the season to get that offensive line in sync, and then they were off to the races. And I'm nervous about this offensive line, quite frankly. You got Evan Link, who's been a good news, bad news kind of guy, big number 71. He's playing that left tackle, the all-important left tackle for a right-handed quarterback. Wow, that's going to be huge variable of how they're good, if they're good this year.
Well, we're getting very, very close to the start of the season. August 30th will be the kickoff for Michigan, and got a non-conference foe coming to town that probably should be. I think they're probably favored by at least 17 to 20 points.
Yeah, we're not going to learn much, obviously, in that first game. It'll just be great to be back in the big house for everybody, and I'm glad it's going to be on a Saturday night. Those first games are hot as all get out, and it'll be much more comfortable for the fans. We're nice and comfy where we are, Pat, so no worries for us. But the following week, so on September 6th,
Yep.
we're going to find out a lot about the Michigan Wolverines. We really are. It's not that Oklahoma has this huge amount of depth on both sides of the ball. I mean, but they're tough at home. I mean, they had a sub-500 team last year, beat Alabama by 17 in Norman, okay? That'll be a tough out. And Brent Venables, the head coach, is up against the wall. He's got to win this year or he's going to get whacked. That will be a compelling game. If they come out of that 2-0, look out. If they go 1-1, depending on how they play, it could be a struggling year. That is a wild card game in my mind.
Yep.
I know it's early in the season, but we're going to learn so much about a lot of those kids on both sides of the ball.
I can't wait. Tom,
Yeah.
do you have a Michigan memory for us?
I do. Old man alert. 1971. Touchdown, Billy Taylor, 21-yard touchdown run with a buck 21. You remember that one? That was when Bob Ufer, if you had that album,
Yeah.
the Bob Ufer album, that was a live broadcast. Pitches. Larry Sippa came in for the injured Tom Slade, and Ohio State was a marginal team, and they had this Tom Campana get this big punt return. They went ahead, and Michigan was undefeated, still trying to vie for a national championship, and they squeaked by. It was a great win, but man, it was dicey. 10-7, the Wolverines win. Britt Seifert had the great block and touchdown. Billy Taylor, 21 yards out for the win. And then the end of the game was more dramatic when Woody Hayes got upset with a pass interference. Tom Darden had an interception. Woody Hayes thought it was a bad call, and he got so upset he tore up the guard markers on the side of the field. If you remember, over there on the eastern sideline, Woody Hayes being Woody Hayes.
I remember the fans just going absolutely berserk after Taylor's touchdown, and that's what I remember the most. It was really an exciting game.
It was a great game, and unfortunately, Michigan went on and lost to Stanford 13-12 on a Roddy Garcia field goal near the end of the game, but that's when both just could not get that Rose Bowl thing figured out for quite some time.
Well, Tom, we are out of time here on Inside the Cave, but we want to tell folks how they can get a hold of your podcast any time of the day or night.
Yeah, YouTube channel, just go out to Tom's Take Community, all one word. Same thing on my Facebook community page, Tom's Take Community. Just search that and you have all the content. And I'm telling you what, we get into August, we're going to rev up with a lot of Michigan football content, a lot of college football content with the podcast that I do, and I can't wait. And can't wait to be sitting next to you, Pat, on the night of August 30th there in the press box.
Can't wait either, boy. It's going to be a great evening and great football coming this year from Michigan. Well, Tom, thanks for being with us, and you'll be back at your usual time next week at 7:25. And we want to remind folks, text us a question if you have something for Tom you want answered. Tom is the Michigan Encyclopedia. There's no question about it.
I guess so. Thanks. As always, a pleasure being on with you.
All right, Tom Crawford, our guest here at Inside the Cave. We'll be back with more sports right after this.